Alcatraz Island. Just the name kind of sends chills down your spine. The Rock, they called it, a maximum security prison. Designed to hold America's most notorious criminals. Surrounded by icy water, shrouded in a chilling reputation, it was deemed inescapable. But in 1962, three men dared to challenge that notion.
Yeah, and what I think is so captivating about this story is that, it's not just about a daring escape, it's about human resilience. It's that will to break free, even when all the odds seem stacked against you.
That's right. We're diving into the incredible 1962 escape of Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers, John and
Oh,
Clarence.
yeah.
They vanished from Alcatraz, leaving behind a trail of clues and a mystery that continues to intrigue us to this day.
What makes this story so compelling is that their escape, it involved meticulous planning, audacious execution, and maybe just a dash of luck. But to truly grasp the magnitude of what they accomplished, we need to sort of transport ourselves back to Alcatraz in 1962.
All right, paint us a picture. What was life like on the Rock back then?
Okay, so imagine a cold, unforgiving environment, right?
Mm.
Where the clang of metal bars and the watchful eyes of guards, that was a constant presence. Alcatraz was designed to crush the spirit, to make escape seem utterly impossible.
So not exactly a walk in the park. And these weren't exactly choir boys either, right?
Absolutely not. Alcatraz housed some of the most hardened criminals in America.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Al Capone spent his final years there.
Wow.
And George Machine Gun Kelly, also called Alcatraz home. These were men who had already pushed boundaries and challenged authority.
So how did Morris and the Anglin brothers, even in this oppressive environment, how did they even begin to conceive of a plan, let alone execute it?
Well, Frank Morris, he was known to be very cunning, an intelligent individual with a history of successful escapes. He wasn't just a criminal. This guy was a meticulous planner. And then you have the Anglin brothers, John and Clarence. They were known for their strength and their determination.
Right.
Together, they formed, a pretty formidable team, driven by this shared yearning for freedom.
They had the will, but this was Alcatraz. How did they even begin to chip away at this fortress?
Well, their ingenuity is truly astounding. They used discarded saw blades and like a makeshift drill. It was fashioned from a broken vacuum cleaner motor, and with that, they patiently chipped away at the concrete around their ventilation grills night after night.
Now that's dedication. Talk about playing the long game. But escaping their cells, that was just the first step in a much larger and more intricate plan, right?
Absolutely. They were masters of resourcefulness. They constructed life preservers from, get this, over 50 stolen raincoats, sealing the seams with heat from the prison's steam pipes. They even built a raft using whatever scraps they could find and fashioned paddles to navigate the treacherous waters. Their cell block became their secret workshop, really a testament to their unwavering determination.
It's almost poetic, you know? They used the very tools of their confinement to forge a path to freedom. It really makes you wonder how they managed to keep all of this hidden from the watchful eyes of the guards.
Yeah, it really is. It's a testament to their planning, their discipline, and perhaps a bit of luck. They worked tirelessly under the cover of darkness, utilizing a network of pipes and even a homemade periscope to avoid detection. They turned the prison's infrastructure against itself, using ventilation shafts and utility corridors to create, like, their secret escape route.
This is all just incredible. We're talking about a level of ingenuity and determination that's almost hard to fathom. So they had the plan, they had the will, and they had this incredible resourcefulness. But what was their route out of this supposedly inescapable prison?
Well, it involved a daring climb to the roof of the cell block, a descent down a bakery smokestack, a scramble over the perimeter fence, and finally, a clandestine launch of their makeshift raft from the northeastern shore of the island.
Each step seems more daring than the last. It sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood movie.
Yes.
So they make it to the shore, they have their raft. What happens next? Do they just launch themselves into the dark, choppy waters of San Francisco Bay?
Here's where their incredible plan takes an even more intriguing turn. Remember those dummy heads I mentioned? Yeah, those were part of the plan.
Wait, so those were part of the plan?
Absolutely. The morning of June 12th, the guards made their rounds, right, expecting to find Morris and the Anglin brothers in their cells. But instead, they found these incredibly lifelike decoys.
Wow.
Yeah, crafted from plaster, painted to match the escapees' complexions, and topped with real human hair. These dummy heads, they were a stroke of genius.
So while the guards were, looking at these fake heads, Morris and the Anglins were already making their move.
Exactly. The dummies bought them crucial time to put the final stages of their plan into action. And it wasn't until the morning count that the guards realized they'd been outsmarted.
Oh, can you imagine the shock? Alcatraz, the symbol of ultimate security, had been breached.
The realization sent shockwaves, through the entire prison system. Alcatraz went into immediate lockdown, sirens wailed, searchlights, scouring the island and the surrounding waters, and a massive manhunt was launched. The FBI was called in to lead the investigation, and it quickly escalated into, like, a nationwide effort.
Right.
Every resource was poured into finding these men.
So what did the FBI uncover? Was there any trace of the escapees?
Well, the investigation unearthed some pretty fascinating clues. First, they discovered a packet of letters, carefully sealed in rubber and addressed to family members. These letters, they kind of suggested that the escapees were confident in their plan, at least up to that point.
So they wanted the authorities to know they had gotten this far. Did these letters offer any insights into their plans after leaving the island?
Unfortunately, no. They were more about reassurance than, like, detailed plans.
Yeah.
But the FBI also found pieces of wood and rubber inner tube floating in the bay. And even more compelling, a homemade life vest,
Yeah.
very similar to the ones, the escapees had crafted, washed ashore on a nearby beach.
Okay, so we have the dummies, the letters, the raft debris, and a life vest. It's starting to look like they actually pulled this off. But could they really have survived those frigid, turbulent waters?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? San Francisco Bay is notorious for its strong currents and icy temperatures. The FBI knew that young, strong swimmers had successfully crossed from Alcatraz to Angel Island in the past, which was supposedly part of the escapees' planned route.
Right.
But, these weren't Olympic athletes.
Right.
They were facing exhaustion, hypothermia, and the constant risk of being swept away by the current.
So while it's possible they made it across, the odds were definitely against them. But let's assume for a moment that they did reach land. What was the next step in their elaborate plan?
Well, based on information from Alan West, the inmate who was supposed to escape with them but couldn't get his vent grill removed in time.
Oh.
They planned to steal clothes and a car in Marin County, hoping to blend back into society.
Did the FBI find any evidence to support this part of the plan? Any stolen cars matching that description? Or reports of men fitting their profiles?
That's where the trail runs cold. Despite an extensive, nationwide search, no stolen vehicles or clothing matching the descriptions were ever reported. There were no confirmed sightings, no traces of their existence beyond Alcatraz Island.
So no car, no confirmed sightings. Did the FBI consider the possibility that they had outside help? Perhaps someone waiting for them on the mainland with, supplies or transportation?
They certainly explored that angle. However, the investigation found no evidence to support the theory of outside assistance. There were no reports of, like, suspicious boats in the area at the time, and there was no indication that the escapees' families had the financial resources or connections to orchestrate such an elaborate scheme.
So despite 17 years of investigation, countless leads, and tireless efforts, the fate of Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers remained an enigma. Did the FBI ever officially close the case?
In 1979, after exhausting all leads, they concluded that the escapees' survival was highly unlikely and officially closed the case. However, they handed it over to the U.S. Marshals Service, who continued to investigate any credible leads that emerge.
Wait, so the case is still technically open after all this time?
Yeah, it remains open, though, the odds of finding them alive are incredibly slim. The U.S. Marshals Service acknowledges that, but they haven't entirely given up hope.
It's fascinating that this case still captures our imagination. We've explored their meticulous planning, their daring escape, and the evidence that both supports and undermines their chances of survival. But one question still lingers.
And that is,
if they make it.
That, my friend, is the question that continues to intrigue us all.
It's incredible to think that even after all these years, we're still captivated by the story of the Alcatraz escape. What is it about this story that continues to fascinate us?
I think it taps into, like a universal human desire for freedom, that inherent yearning to break free from constraints. And the Alcatraz escape embodies that spirit of defiance, this refusal to accept limitations.
And it's not just about escaping, physical confinement, is it? There's a deeper, more symbolic layer to this story.
Exactly. Alcatraz, it was more than just a prison. It was a symbol of absolute control, a place designed to crush hope. So when these three men managed to escape, it challenged our perception of what's possible. It reminded us that The human spirit, even when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles, can find a way to soar.
And the fact that their fate remains a mystery only adds to the intrigue, right? I mean, it allows us to imagine our own endings to the story.
Absolutely. Did they perish in the icy waters? Did they make it to freedom and live out their days, under assumed identities? We may never know for sure.
Mm.
But the very act of asking these questions, of grappling with the unknown, it keeps the story alive.
Yeah. And this story, I mean, it's had a lasting impact on popular culture, hasn't it? There have been countless books, movies, documentaries, all inspired by the Alcatraz escape.
Oh yeah, it's become a part of American folklore. The story is retold and reinterpreted with each generation, reflecting our ongoing fascination with freedom, rebellion, and the enduring power of the human spirit.
And it also raises important questions about the nature of punishment and rehabilitation. Was Alcatraz, with its harsh conditions and focus on isolation, was it really achieving its intended purpose?
It's a valid question. Some people argue that the very conditions that made Alcatraz, so formidable may have inadvertently fueled the desperation that led to these elaborate escape attempts.
Yeah, it's a complex issue with no easy answers. So, what can we take away from this deep dive into the Alcatraz escape? What does it all mean for us, today?
I think uh, it serves as a powerful reminder that human ingenuity knows no bounds. I mean, faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges, these men refused to give up. They meticulously planned, they adapted, and they ultimately took a leap of faith. It reminds us that even in the darkest of times, hope can persist, and the human spirit can find a way to transcend limitations.
Beautifully said. And for you, our listener, if you find yourself wanting to learn more about this captivating story, there are many resources available. The FBI's Vault and Multimedia website that offers a wealth of information, including original photographs, investigative reports, even blueprints of the prison and the escapees' ingenious contraptions.
And who knows, maybe you'll stumble upon a clue that's been overlooked all these years, shedding new light on one of history's most enduring mysteries.
Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and never underestimate the power of the human spirit to break free. This concludes our deep dive into the Alcatraz escape. We'll be back with another fascinating exploration soon.